Welcome everyone. This is the Bernhard Neumann Podcast, and today I have an interesting guest. I have a professor here, and we're going to talk about music, about Web3, and how this all fits together with also teaching this at university. And so my guest today is Nicolas Ruth, Professor Nick for most people. I'm really excited to jump into it with you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For sure. And maybe first of all, who are you? What's your story? How did you become Professor Nick?
Yeah, like you said, I'm Nick. I'm professor for digital communication in the music and entertainment industry. And I teach this master's degree at the University of Music and Theatre in Munich. And I'm from academia, so I started out with musicology. And then I went to more media, music, overlap master's degree. And I did my PhD in media communication, which is more like media psychology studies. And then I went to London for a postdoc. Then I was an interims teacher, professor at University of Hamburg. And now I'm in Munich, and I'm very glad that I get the chance to do this new exciting master's degree.
Very cool. So media communication, and this is where your mind went towards Web3. What's your Web3 journey? Why are we talking today in a Web3 podcast? What's the story here?
So I mean, I think most of us, we heard about this 10 years ago when there was the first crypto millionaires, or people lost a lot of money because they wouldn't find their wallet keys back in the days. But I remember that was, I think, 2018, there was a professor from the University of Kassel talking at the German musicology conference, which was in Würzburg, I guess. And he talked about music on the blockchain. And I was like, what's that supposed to do? And I was really excited about it, and I was trying to wrap my head around that, but at the same time I was finishing my PhD, so I didn't spend too much time on it, did my Google searches and stuff like that. And then later on, 2021, the University of Music and Theatre in Munich, they decided to start this new program called Digital Communication. And I was so excited about it, and I thought, okay, I will definitely apply for this and try to be the head of this degree. And so I started again in digging into all the topics that they were talking about. So they said, we will talk in this classes about how music and entertainment industry fits together with Web3 and with artificial intelligence and XR, all the augmented and virtual reality stuff, and how can we apply this to music. And so I digged into it, and I was skeptical at first, I have to admit. I think everybody who's in Web3 now had this skeptical phase at first, and I remember we talked, you were one of my first guests at the university, and we talked about it, and I was still skeptical, and then you were so positively excited about it that I thought, okay, I give it another try, I dig deeper into it, and that was when I for myself discovered what beauty and potential there is for music in this space.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, your job is to help the students prepare for their work life, right? And so the thought is, hey, the future of digital entertainment might have to do something with Web3, might have to do something with AI. Where do you stand right now? How much does it have to do with Web3? In the backdrop, we are in a bear market, everyone shits on Web3, so to say, and now everyone is on the AI train. But what's your perspective right now?
I think the technology is really clever and is really useful. Everything that deals with intellectual property is really that can only benefit from blockchain technology. And I think all the stuff that happens with tokens in the music sector, if we have reward systems or if we have gated communities for all the super fans, I think this is really interesting. And like you said, when we're teaching about media and music, it's not everybody out there can do social media stuff for a band or for an ensemble or an orchestra. But we try to teach the next steps. Even if the students are not too much into the Web3 stuff right now, they at least heard of it and they get information on it. And if there is one day where like the head of the company asks them in like their communication role, whatever, in the company asks them, hey, we want to onboard Web3, they can say, well, we learned that in Munich in the master's degree and we can help you with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to predict the future,
yeah,
right?
Definitely.
That's probably also not your job, but you familiarize the people with the concepts, and there is some basic concepts, that probably make a lot of sense in terms of scarcity online and digital assets, and so let's see. Yeah, but it's good to hear. What's your perception of the students like? How do you, like I had the pleasure of giving a talk. There might have been some other people. What do they think about Web3?
I think they are still in like the skeptical phase where they're not really sure what to make of it. And I think like getting the head around this, like I think the obvious question is they keep asking about like, how does this LP fit on the blockchain? And then you always have to say, no, that's not it. It's not like you dump something on a blockchain. It's more about the transaction and that you can show that you're the owner. And you can, like you said, you can limit a number of like special issues of a new single, of a music video and stuff like that. Or you can give early access to like people who hold a special token from your community. And I think they're wrapping their heads around it. And I'm like next term we will try to start some strategies with them, and we'll see what they will come up with.
Yeah, for sure. And like just recently, yesterday, I think so Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, has a big NFT project. He's also very much an influencer in Web2, and he works closely together with Snoop Dogg. And so I found this interesting because yesterday they dropped, there's going to be a new single of the two actually. Not sure how that relates. I'm probably Gary V will not rap. I assume maybe he will, but it's a
Let's
real
hope so.
single. You know, like it's a real single. This is
Okay.
not, hey, this is a Web3 single. It's a real single. And so, no, they didn't say we're going to make 7 million NFTs and sell them to you. But they said, hey, if you held a ticket for a conference where Snoop Dogg was and where a promise was made back then a year ago, you can mint this NFT that represents the song, and then we do some gamification, right? Like it's just for everyone out there, like they didn't try to put a song on the blockchain and say, now you all deal with it, this is an NFT. Makes no sense, right? Like you want to listen to your song on Spotify or whatever you use. But having this token that represents the song and is associated with that project gives a lot of opportunities to gamify, to say, and that's what they're gonna do. You know, like if you have it and you burn it, you enter into this contest, you can meet us, you can be part of the concert or the song and whatsoever. So that's probably where it's going more towards, right?
Yeah, and I think this amazing idea is like that's really where you get your fans and like you get them closer to you. If you like surprise them with such a drop, that's like really amazing. If you can then join just because you were at the concert, like this is your ticket in, and you can become like in the close circle around Snoop Dogg. I think this is amazing, and this is much better than like. A band that I really like is Muse, and they did a Web3 album, like 300 copies of their recent album, and that was boring. There was nothing to it. I mean, there could be some utility at some point, and maybe for those 300 holders there will be something special at some point, but they didn't announce it, and it was just like there was a boring mint, and so. I think there can be much better ways to do it, and I think this is a good example.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it all tends a little bit towards loyalty and super fanism, right? Like people that want to collect something of you anyways, which there's plenty of in the music industry, and which is perfectly cool, right? Like you wanna have the Taylor Swift album if you're a Taylor Swift fan, for sure. And so that's where it's tending towards, and I think blockchain NFTs probably have a really cool solution. Just in my mind, as you were talking, I was thinking, hey, so can we do this without NFTs? Like, yes, probably. Let's all sign up here. You all get a token on our server, and then let's find out. It's possible. Actually, like the NFT version might be easier for everyone. I don't know. Like, but maybe for me, as I'm deep into NFTs, but obviously there's quite the value to it being a free token, meaning you can transfer it, you can sell it, you can gift it to someone, and some other projects can also reference it, which is kind of fun, right?
Yeah, and like you said, it's not about like listening to the music on a blockchain.
Exactly.
It's about like getting access to something like on Spotify, where they have now like introduced gated playlists, which is like really fun way, because like in your everyday you want to use, or like not use, you want to listen to your music in your like car, on your smartphone, on the way in the tube or whatever, and you don't like bring your like you don't want to connect your wallet to your music player and something like this. You just want to listen to it on Spotify. And so I guess this is really big to like see that like Spotify interacts with Web3 now, and this is can be massively exciting.
Yeah, it's a test. We will see where it goes, but it's gonna be exciting. What's also exciting, you doing, or you did, like I think you're in the process of doing a study,
right?
And it does relate to media and Web3.
Correct. Yeah.
And can you tell us more about it?
So so what I tried to do at first was like, when I was trying to get into it, I was always thinking about like how to apply it to music. And then I thought, what are thinking like music experts from the scene, from the actual industry, what are they thinking about Web3 and of course AI and stuff like this? And so what came to my mind, we could conduct a content analysis, which is basically we are scanning magazines, like music magazines, for articles that are about Web3, and we use keywords, key phrases like NFT, Web3, Ethereum, Bitcoin, you name it, and then we save those articles, and then we go through them like with a code scheme and try to quantify how often they mention Web3 and stuff like this. And so that was the first stuff we did. We didn't finish all the magazines yet. We are yet to deal with Springer publishing, because we want to do Rolling Stone and Music Express, of course. But we did many more magazines so far, and we quantified them. And we are looking at articles from 2016 to 2022. So we are looking at like how there is a slope, if we can detect like a trend or something like that, or like cycles in the data. And the next step, which we haven't finished yet, you mentioned it, we're still working on it. The next step would be to analyze the actual articles about like how the articles are, or like the topics are framed, and how they talk about the acceptance of this technology.
You haven't got to that part?
No, not really.
I can
give you a first impression about it.
Sneak peek. Okay, what's the first impression?
So, like in framing theory, which is a popular media theory, and we know that we use framing in our everyday conversations, so that like journalists are able to frame a certain topic if they like connect it with positive or negative attributes. So we were looking for this, and I suspect that there would be much more diversity in terms of there would be people that hate it and there would be people that love it. But actually, what we found was like most of the articles were pretty neutral. They were just like, so Snoop Dogg did a show at the VMAs presenting his Bored Apes. Like that's it. Or there's like the Kings of Leon album just dropped as an NFT collection. And that's pretty neutral, I would say. And that was surprising. I thought there would be like much more arguing about it.
Because there is definitely some arguing about it on Twitter and everything. So starting in 2016, like I've never heard of Web3 in 2016. Is there any mentions, or like have you seen a progression there?
No, that was like we were trying to like pinpoint some timestamps where we could say, okay, this might be significant before like the actual NFT hype began. And actually, we found some articles in 2017, not about NFTs, but like talking about Web3 and blockchain technology, like because of intellectual property and like publishing digital goods and music. So we started in 2016. This was like, I think for AI, we said this is like the year when I think AI Go beat the Korean master in Go. That was like big media hype about this topic, and I think there was something happening with Bitcoin, which we said, okay, 2016 is a good starting point.
Okay.
Even so, if we could say, okay, we could have started in 2009 when Bitcoin started, or like 2013 when there was like the first Bitcoin millionaires, or like the first media coverage of or broader media coverage of it. But we started with 2016, and we want to continue this. So we want to like, I'm excited to see how much more there will be for this year, and we could go back further, but I'm not sure if this is very useful for Web3. Maybe for the AI topic,
which is also part of the study.
Right, yeah, but we're here to talk about Web3, right?
Yeah. So you said you have a few numbers for us, is that correct?
Yeah, so
what do you got?
Well, you can see my little plot I did. So we had like, in total, we had about like 10,000 articles that we scanned. And we had the magazines, just so that you get an idea what we call music media. We have the Neue Musikzeitung, which is like a classical music newspaper style. As the print version comes like a newspaper, but it's a magazine about classical music. We have sound and recording. We thought like music producing is a good topic where they look for new technology. We have Musik und Bildung, which means music and education. And we thought that would be nice if they would talk about like Web3 for how this could be applied in education in schools. Musikwoche, which is like the music business magazine. This like a weekly magazine about everything that happens in the music industry. Rondo, which is another classical and jazz focused journal. Groove from electronic dance music. Backspin for hip hop music. And then we're looking forward to analyzing Rolling Stone magazine and Music Express, like for rock and pop in general.
Is it all German? Like
yeah. So we focus just on the German first.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but I mean, this is hugely scalable. If anybody else wants to join this project and says I can do this for like the US magazines, I'm happy to collaborate on this.
Okay. So what does the numbers tell you here already?
So there are like in total 48 articles that we found, which is not too much. In comparison, we found 94, like twice that much articles about artificial intelligence. And which is really what like surprised me most is that there are non-articles in the sound and recording, in the music production magazine on Web3. There are no articles in music and education, which is really, that's a shame, because I think education should be first to educate people about new technologies. But like it takes time. We know that.
Yeah.
If it's like in the curriculum of schools, it takes some time. But like the obvious winner is the Musikwoche, the music business magazine. They have the most articles. And actually we have not really a trend. It's more, if you look at it, it looks like more like cycles. So we have a peak in 2017, 2019, and then again, the most articles we found in 2022.
2022, okay.
So this, is so far the biggest year, like music journalists talking about Web3.
Yeah, interesting.
You're surprised by that?
No, I mean, you would think like, I'm not sure if we're able to share this then in the video, this graph, but you would think in 2021 was the hype was the strongest.
I thought so.
So you think most people jump on it. Beginning of 2022, the NFT hype was still there, but then died down. But yeah, I guess makes sense. Like out of 10,043 mentions, that's not a lot. But yeah, it tells you a story. I mean, I just recently heard a number, not sure if it's correct, but ChatGPT, the search volume for NFTs at the peak, you know, it was a hype, big. Supposedly, we have to verify this, but the peak number for ChatGPT right now is 100 times the searches that were there for NFTs. So that's crazy, obviously. Like that captures the imagination of people even more. I can see why. I use those services also. So I guess not sure. I don't think it's. I mean, you as a scientist or as a professor, like it's neither good or bad. It's just the numbers, right? And maybe it is surprisingly little, but
to be honest, I was so curious about that because, you know, music is on the one hand, it's thriving on technology. It's like musicians were the first to adopt new instruments, to play around with new technologies like electronic music and stuff like that. And like the first things that were like after pictures that were shared online were pieces of music, like tracking sounds and stuff like this, like small 8-bit pieces composed with tracking software. So this was like the first things that people were talking about on the internet. And so I was so curious to see, like, is this the next big thing that like people who are interested in music would get into? And but on the other hand, you could say, like, especially in classical music, or in pop music too, we have so much conservative minds that like just repeat the old masters, that do cover versions. You get the same in like Hollywood. They do a remake of movies every now and then. But in music, it's like there's a whole tradition on just keeping to the music you got and like keeping the orchestra, keeping the classical band alive, like a 4-piece band. And it takes some time to like break up with those traditions. So yeah, let's see what happens in the future with music and Web3.
Yeah, a thought that just came to my mind was also so the music industry was plagued by new technology as well, right? Like
that's true.
There's Napster. All of a sudden, hey, it's really hard to sell music physically anymore because now we have MP3s and it like pirated everywhere. Then you have streaming, which doesn't work out for basically none of the artists. And so you would think on the one hand, yes, maybe there's some aversion to technology because it hasn't been good to the music industry lately. But on the other hand, you would think they should be really in search for something that works, right? Like where you can bring together fans and musicians and connect there because they're desperate for it.
Yeah, and that's so true because I think people who are really into that are those that spend most of the money in the music. So like the super fans that are willing to like spend hours, like the BTS army, waiting for the new single to drop and then like listen to it all day just to pump up the streams. And those fans, if they have the money, but we have older fans like me who are willing to like spend a lot of money on concert tickets or on vinyl records and stuff like this. This could be a new asset to say like this is really like the digital version of this album that brings you to like if you collected it all, you get a meet and greet with your stars, like even if it's over Zoom. Or like a backstage tour at the next concert and stuff like this. So this could be like they should dive into it. They should like they should try to get into the whole metaverse stuff. I think like music works very well in the metaverse or will work if we're getting there. So the music actually should embrace it, not like be skeptical about it.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good approach. Like, I think it's fair to be skeptical about Web3. I'm there with you, actually. Like, I really, even though I dove in head first, I'm just like trying to really think it through. Is it really of help? But with music, like, what's very certain is it does offer some things you can form a community around.
Yeah.
Like, it's a nice mechanism. And then I think what most people also maybe listening to this, watching this should understand that what I really saw in New York also last week, digital art, like it's happening. Like there is no digital art in the sense of selling it, making an industry out of it without NFTs. That's the technology that works. It does give you digital scarcity. There can be only one original digital art piece, and that's really helpful instead of infinitely copyable JPEG. And so as an artist in the music industry, whatever, just think of that, okay, I like people collect stuff, and so if they want to collect it digitally, you have the technology of NFTs. Most likely, it gets a lot easier every day to use it, and so I think it's really worth looking into it. If it's gonna be for you, you will have to find out, but there's something there.
Yeah, and another thing, we were talking about the music industry so much, but you just mentioned the artist, and that's like, maybe you as an artist, you're like much more into the whole idea of NFTs and Web3, and you might know much more than your like the traditional record label, and you could like explore this on your own and like utilize it for yourself and for your career. So this is like a really good space to start, and I think a lot of people did this. And like you can think of the Web3 space like you will, and there, of course, like there are some scams and not so good stuff happening, but like everything that's in the arts and that's emotional and that evokes associations, that's good, and people will come to that if it's good.
Yeah, for sure. So, Professor Nick, you also have a TikTok.
Oh yeah, I do.
Like you're a TikToking professor. How many are there of you? Is there more than you would think?
Oh well, actually, there was a conference on TikTok communication or like TikTok science communication. That was end of March in Dresden. There was a really nice professor from Dresden who invited us all, like people who like were communicating about their university and their research on TikTok. And that's what I did for one whole year. In 2021, I decided for myself I wanted to do science communication, and I said to myself, like, I will do like a proper plan for myself, and I did one video a day at least.
Wow.
I went live when I hit like the 1,000 followers. I went live every other week. And I just wanted to try this and to talk about music and to talk about like a informed way about music, like we teach this in musicology or in my master's program.
So that's what we get from you on TikTok. What's a video about? Like a typical one? Well,
so when I was talking about a funny thing that people liked was like there was a study on what is the most listened music in the tube. Actually, it was conducted in Vienna. So what's the most listened music on the U-Bahn?
Okay.
And it was gangster rap. So, and people jumped on it. Yeah, of course, that's what you pump up your Bluetooth box and smartphone speakers. And it's just like, I just cited the study and talked about how they did it and what the results were. And people really liked this. And then I did something, I think one of my most successful videos was about, I talked about the shortest music piece there is. That's, it's called You Suffer from Napalm Death. It's like 1 minute, 1 second and 20 milliseconds or something like this. It just goes, Wah! There was people like this, and a piece by John Cage, which is the longest piece there is because it runs for a couple of years. It's running now.
It's like running now?
There's an organ somewhere in Germany where there's like every couple of years they push another key on the keyboard, and there's another tone ringing for like another couple of years. So this is like some curious facts about music and what composers think about, and that's what I presented on my channel.
Okay, wow. So why it was kind of a Corona thing, or like, is that fair to say? And what changed for you doing it? Like some perspective, or have you had more chances, or like your account? How many thousand are there?
12,000.
12,000. That's quite sizable. What's the impact it had on your professor life?
To be honest, I don't think there are too many people in academia who like really appreciate this. you will have to get like to next level science communication, like Hank Green or someone like this, to be really recognized for this. But then again, I learned a lot from it. I learned that it's quite some hard work to create content every day. So I did my research session on Sunday, and then I like planned 20 something videos ahead, and then I filmed them in one night, and then throughout the weeks I like edited them and then published them, and then I tried to engage with the community. Of course, that's what you have to do, and I tried to do it all by the book, but that was so exhausting, I can tell you.
Yeah.
But then again, like people really liked some of the videos, and I think if you like trying to not educate, but like give people some valuable information, they really appreciate it, and it's not too much hate, and it's more about like thank you for sharing this, and music is opinionated. A lot of people give you like some backlash on how they think about this LP and how they think about this music video. But then again, that's nice. Everybody can have their opinion on music. That's totally fine. I'm trying to curate what musicology did on some of the musical stuff.
Very cool. If we did a study on your TikTok videos, how many would be about Web3 or NFTs?
Not too many, actually.
Wow, okay. That hurts.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I did some. I was talking about NFTs. I was talking about future of music, where I mentioned it. I talk about like this future scientists who like made predictions about music industry in 10 years, which was quite interesting. And of course, like Web3 plays a role in that. So yeah, probably not that many that like. But to be fair, like I did some more videos in 2022 and like end of last year, which was 2022, and some at the beginning of this year. But like I'm not doing it as a regularly. Okay. And like the last year was where I did my deep dive into Web3 and blockchain technology. So that's maybe the reason why I wasn't talking about it too much.
Fair enough. And you know what I really like, and I'm sure your students also appreciate, like a professor that actually does this stuff. Like it makes such a big difference, right? Like teaching really nice. You've read it in a book, then you had to do an exam on it and somehow became a professor, really cool. But actually grinding on TikTok, grinding it out, that gives you, I just noticed from my job also, as a branding marketing strategist, like it really helps that I also try to like have a LinkedIn account and do this podcast and everything. I can help my clients much better because I walk the talk, and so that's really cool.
I'm not sure if my students find it cringe what I do, but that's another topic.
I feel like I like your TikToks, by the way. I think like there's nothing to be embarrassed about here.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's at Dr. Nick Rivers. That's my handle.
What's the story behind that? Real quick, why Nick Rivers?
You know the movie Top Secret? So Val Kilmer plays this rock star, Nick Rivers, who goes as an undercover spy into the DDR. Val Kilmer does a brilliant role, and people called me Nick Rivers, in the movie.
All right, I see. So yeah, talking about your students, you have a master's degree upcoming. Is that correct? No,
No, it started in October, it's not like we have no people that finished it so far. So it's like pretty early on. So the second batch of students will start in October, and they can apply for it now until end of May.
What are they applying for?
So the master's called Digital Communication in the Music and Entertainment Industries, and everybody who did a bachelor's degree in like some social sciences, in musicology, theater, performance studies are very welcome to apply, and they will get a lot about like marketing, public relations, digital technologies, media production, like this. We have like experts from the actual industry who teach some of those classes, and we bring guest lecturers in all the lecture series, and it's just starting, and if you want to apply, you can like be in the first two batches and like help shape the master's degree.
Yeah. And you like, what do you do with this master's degree? Like, it's not like philosophy or Latin. Like, what comes out of it? Who comes out of the 2 years?
Well, I think many of the current students, they said they want to go into like marketing or social media production, like content management or social media management, stuff like this. Mm-hmm. I would hope they would like to at least like dip into media research at some point. This is of course a job option. It's not the one that the students fancy, but again, this is something you could do in the end, and I think you could work in the music entertainment industry, in gaming, stuff like this. Everybody who deals with new technologies and is interested in like communication in some kind of way.
Gets you ready for all the new kinds of communications there are. Makes sense. We
really think so, yeah.
Where do you apply?
So you can go to the University of Music and Theatre Munich website, and I think we can drop like some links in the show notes, I guess.
Yes, let's do some show notes here. Why not?
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to dump it on you, but maybe.
No, all fine. That's what show notes are for. I think.
It's easier than like to like.
www.
Yeah. HTTP. We don't want to talk about URL, but yeah, if you Google Digital Communication University of Music Munich, you will find it, and looking forward for a new bunch of interested students.
Very cool. Yeah, to bring this conversation towards the end, maybe even also, what are you excited about in terms of music and Web3, but maybe also AI? Like I think AI is so big, it's gonna move into Web3, and I think as anyone living, you should like wrap your head around AI and think about it.
So I think this is like, if we want to like predict the future, I think there are like, we have to distinguish between certain kinds of people. There are like passionate people. They are really passionate about what they do, or like me, who are passionate about music. So for those people, I think they will like always cherish their stars and favorite bands and orchestras and stuff like this, and they will embrace new assets that comes with music. But then again, when we talk about AI, I think there's like a lot of people out there who just like, they like music and they listen to it, but they listen to their everyday radio, like the shows like the best songs of the last decades and stuff like this, and I think they will like embrace the AI generated playlists or even AI generated music. I mean, if the computer at some point knows you so well that it can compose songs tailored specifically to you, to your needs and to your likings, I think people will like be proud of their AIs and say, like, my AI model is so good. You should listen to it at some point. Well, I think this is scary for people who are into music, but I think that this will come, and people will actually, like, if you listen to a mainstream radio station, or if you listen to an AI that produces music just for you, I mean, I could think of that as a scenario in the future.
Love it. What that lets me think is also, I'm not too deep into this, but I can imagine that music can also change your mood. You know, that's why we also switch it on sometimes. And so let's say the AI detects you're in a bad mood, or you even say it, hey, having a rough day here. And then it brings you closely from like step by step from, feeling this and this, anxious, to calmness. And in a way, like, you know, it might not work if you go immediately calm music, but if you bring the person on this journey, and it can do that, like, let's have an hour, and within that hour, I bring you psychologically, by playing the right music, I bring you to a certain state.
Yeah, so definitely. So what you're referring to is actually a media theory called mood management.
Okay.
So that people tend to listen to music that enhances their positive mood or like get into a positive mood. This is like hugely debated because like for obvious reasons we do this, and sometimes we use it the other way around. Like sometimes you want to feel sad and you want to listen to
I'm listening to this song.
I'm listening to the Smiths and they keep me down. So sometimes this happens, and this is okay too. But like people tend to use this mood management for like positive reasons, and actually like all the streaming platforms, they embrace this already. You have like your mood playlist, you have your workout playlist, like your go for a walk playlist, your chill out lounge playlist, and this will get better. They have the data already. Like we shouldn't shut our eyes before that. They like Spotify and Deezer and Amazon and Apple Music, they all have our data, and they know when we are drinking a drink to get ready for a party, or when we are waking up and getting our morning coffee. And it would be so easy for them to like just tailor your like music to your day and to your feelings and to your work.
Very cool. Yeah, let's be excited about that. Very, very cool. Are you excited about it, or are you like fearful in a sense? Hey, this changes so much, and music and artists, what are they gonna do or anything? Or
no, I'm not fearful. I think like if people who are really into music and who love music, they should be like driving those technologies. I think it would be scary if we just let it happen at the tech companies. So I think always like creative people should be involved in the processes, and
cool.
As long as they are involved, I think something good will come out of it, and I'm really excited about it.
It's such a beautiful answer. I think
I
might clip that. Like creative people should be involved, and that's where we make use of the technology instead of it being like replacing us and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be dictated by like the big tech companies. So yeah.
Very cool. Last two questions. Everyone gets those. So, is there anything with regards to music, maybe Web3, can be AI also, where you changed your mind recently? Maybe also through your study or anything where I said, okay, I thought it's this way, and actually it works a little bit differently.
In terms of technology, or like
could be anything really, like where you maybe saw didn't know it worked that way, or like I was surprised it's going this way and not some other how it was in your mind before.
Mm-hmm. I think my biggest learning from like recent days or weeks was like that I was trying to talk people into Web3, or like at least tell them what I like about it and why I think NFTs is a good thing. And I think the way to go is that we at some point need a new name for it, maybe a new label like digital collectibles and stuff like this, and just give it another or maybe a brand name like Kleenex instead of like tissues.
It's a Tempo.
Yeah. Tempo in Germany, right? Yeah. So if we can coin such a phrase, I think that would be much easier to get people excited about it. Maybe that was a nice learning. And another learning is when I talked about all the other content creators on TikTok, who still do this. So the professor that invited us was called Fußballlinguist. He does a lot about language, so like researching language, and he's still doing this and producing stuff every day. And I try to like upload new stuff, and it wasn't really happening. I couldn't like connect to my success that I had in 2021. So if you like drop it, you might as well leave it or dig into it like completely again. You should then embrace it and work on it. So it's work, and you should not half-ass it.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah, of course. This is a children's podcast here. I have a lot of infant listeners.
Yeah. Okay, I figured. Yeah.
Very cool. Last question. It's a Tim Ferriss question. That's why I bore it. If you had a big sign, like it's gonna, like everyone in Munich can see this sign, this billboard. what's the message you would like to pass on? What would you write on it for people to see?
Whew. Maybe something like, if you want to be creative, think of technology as another brush in your arsenal.
Love it. It's beautiful. There's always like it's not an easy question. I get it, but like always something cool comes out, and I like this. This makes a whole lot of sense, especially with the talk we just had. And so, thanks for coming on. Where can people find you online?
You could check out nicolasruth.de, and there are all the links listed. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Nicolas Ruth, and of course as Dr. Nick Rivers on TikTok.
Dr. Nick Rivers. Nick, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did so too. Yeah.
Very cool.